Alright, testing 1 2. Testing 1 2. Hey Andy, hey Miku, hey Tony. Hey Ronnie. Alright, I think we're good audio-wise. But guess what? We're not playing Mega Man 2! Ha 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 ha! No, Tony, I am not. I'm not actually a big fan of those games, and I suck at them. So... Stage 1, hello, how are you doing? So welcome everybody to another weekly stream. This is the second part of our Mega Man session. I wanted to cut last week's session off relatively early. I kind of like the 3 and 4 hour streams. Anything over that starts to just take it out of you, and it just kind of like kills your entire day. If I stream all night, that's my entire day. So it's nice only doing like a 3 or 4 hour stream and then having a bunch of time to catch up on other things. Like I've been having to work on my pinball machines a lot lately, so being able to do that on Thursday instead of having to kick it over to Friday or Saturday has been really helpful. So, well, Mega Man 7 and 8, Tony, specifically, they're very unfairly hard. They're like hard to the point of not being any fun. Like, part of that is just due to like the stage and boss designs. Part of that is due to like the size of the sprites. Your sprites are massive in Mega Man 7 and 8 compared to the classic games. Much less room to move around, things like that. But I am going to revisit those games. I'm probably going to try to run through both of them on Twitch sometime. Probably not YouTube, just because I'm not that familiar with them. But if I can ever get the Mega Man DOS games to work, Ronnie, I would love to stream them. Actually, people like say that like jokingly, but like I actually grew up with those games, so like I know how to play those games. I enjoyed them as a kid. They're obviously not like fantastic Mega Man games, but when you know what you're doing, they're perfectly playable MS-DOS games. So, yeah, Tony, you might see some Mega Man X games streamed sometime. I'm not very good at X2 or X3, but I do want to play through X4 sometime. So, you can definitely expect that. So yeah, I'm going to just spend a couple minutes just rambling off and just rambling until some people show up. And so for those of you guys that weren't aware, I uploaded a Let's Play of Zoop on Sunday. And that was sort of like a follow-up to my Zoop Unforeseen Favorites video, which is a new series I plan on trying to do as time goes on. So I don't think too many people watch the Zoop Let's Play, but if you want to see what Zoop is like, you know, check that Let's Play out and give it a shot. It's the Atari Jaguar version too, so yet another Jaguar Let's Play on my channel. I'm gonna have a Mega Man 1 Let's Play Sunday for the Patreon backers. It's already available to those guys. And then Contra, because of a discussion on last week's stream, Contra is going to be the Let's Play for the week after, or this upcoming Sunday for Patreon backers. Speaking of Patreon backers, I want to give a shout out to Amadeus. I think he backed me after last week's stream. So Amadeus RM, he is a new Patreon supporter. So thank you very much, sir, if you see this after the fact. John F. Donnelly, you like Zoop. If that's true, that's awesome. So I've got 2 Zoop videos. I got a scripted retrospective on it from 2 weeks ago, which you know, I was, like I said last week on last week's stream, I was pretty happy with that. So I'd really love it for you guys to check it out if you get some time. It's a pretty short video. It clocks in at like 7 or 8 minutes long. It's not very long, but I think, you know, with the editing and stuff like that, it should keep you entertained. So, but, alrighty. Yeah, so like I said, we did Mega Man 1, 2, 3 last week. We're gonna do 4, 5, and 6, this week. And some of you guys know how I feel about Part 5, or felt about Part 5 in the past. So we'll see how that goes. We'll hope for the best. And, alright, just want to make sure I'm situated here, and let's disconnect that. Actually, you know, I'm going to leave that connected, because I think that's charging my phone. One of my phones. The phone on my camera busted, and so I bought someone's old iPhone 4 off of them really cheap, and so I need to charge. I didn't get an official charger with it, so I have to plug it in the computers to charge it. But it's a solid little camera phone, you know. I can't justify spending like $200 or $300 on a new phone, so I figured I'd just spend like $50 on an old used one and just use that for photos. Really? You like the Genesis soundtrack the least? I see. I like that one the most. And then I'd probably do the PC version over the Super Nintendo in terms of soundtrack. The Super Nintendo soundtrack is just very muffled, like a lot of Super Nintendo games are, and some of the tunes are just a little too loud. So, alright, so Mega Man 4. I don't even know where to start. One of the nice things about Mega Man 4 is you can kind of start with any boss and not really feel like you're at a severe disadvantage. I mean, Pharaoh Man can be difficult. Yeah, I mean, they're all pretty fair in this game. That's one of the things that's kind of nice about Mega Man 4, is bosses are a little more fair. They're still entertaining, though. Like, if you play, you know, 5 and 6, I find the boss fights to be a little, you know, compared to, like, the first 3 games in the series. But in this one, you know, they still have some aggression. You know, like, Pharaoh Man's very fast. And in every other boss, you've got to know the patterns if you don't want to take damage. Actually, you know, let's start off with Pharaoh Man. Why not? Hey, Georgia. Cat and Caboodle. Welcome back. Yeah, the soundtrack on Zoop on the Jaguar is, it leaves a little bit to be desired. I mean, it's a relatively clean soundtrack, but they didn't really take advantage of the sound hardware. And, as such, it just sounds very, very light. Not much bass to it. So Mega Man 4 is the one that introduced the charged Mega Buster. It also introduced sort of multiple paths in a way. Not really multiple paths, but like hidden items in certain stages. So in Pharaoh Man's level and Dive Man's level, you've got some hidden items which really come in handy later on in the game. So you really want to get these. And what's kind of cool is if you get these items, at least on Pharaoh Man's stage, it spits you out like halfway through the stage. So it doesn't set you back in terms of like level progress either, which is really cool. Nice, Darren. Congrats. Congrats. Commodore monitors are pretty nice if you're going to do just composite. Or, I guess they do S-Video, right? I'm guessing they don't do RGB, though. Something's wrong with Cat? If something's wrong with you, Cat. We hope you feel better. Yeah, the Super Nintendo sound hardware is nice for certain things, and it's not as nice for other things. And if it's in the wrong hands, some games will have like this sort of like echoey, reverbed kind of effect, which is not very appealing to the ears. The Genesis sound chip, I find when it's in the right hands, is better for FM style music, you know, techno and things like that. Whereas the Super Nintendo is a lot better for recreating, you know, since it basically samples. They rely on samples on the Super Nintendo. It's better for like, you know, like piano sounds, strings, things like that. And so some games sound a lot better on Super Nintendo, in my opinion. Some games sound a lot better on the Genesis. And the same goes to like other hardware too. You know, you bring in like the Jaguar or the 32X or something like that. You know, certain types of soundtracks are going to sound better. You know, certain types of soundtracks are better suited to certain types of sound hardware from back then. You know, back then the sound chips weren't able to just do everything. You know. So again, like with how the Super Nintendo sound chip is styled, or how it operates, is it sounds so clean when it's just, you know, they're sampling, you know, real instruments and stuff like that. It sounds so good. A lot of the RPGs really show that off very well. But when you start getting into other forms of music, you know, like people rave about like the Space Megaforce soundtrack and whatever, but I find that when they try to do like electronic style music on the Super Nintendo, it oftentimes sounds lifeless. Whereas the Genesis has that FM synthesis warmth to it, you know. Oh, you got the 1702. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's the common monitor for, you know, common Commodore monitor. And I had a 1702 back in the day. Unfortunately, it died on me, so... and back then, you know, we're talking like late 90s, and so... I didn't try to get stuff fixed back then. You know, everything was just a dime a dozen back then, so I think I got the monitor for free, too. And, so yeah, I ended up just tossing it. If it was nowadays, I'd see if like somebody could fix it, and I know that somebody would be able to fix it. Knowing what I know now. Yeah, if you're gonna do a composite, it's a great little monitor. Alright, so this is another item down here. You just want to make sure you don't die. I think this is one of the only parts in the game where it harkens back to the, the Mega Man 2 drop sequence on, Wily's castle. When you're underwater, there's just spikes on both sides of the wall. If I take random damage that looks like, I shouldn't have taken it, it's probably because I'm looking at the chat. I'm just slamming into stuff. Cat, I have allergies at a very specific time in the year. It's usually late April into mid-May. And I have to take, allergy medicine. Not really, I don't want to say medicine per se. I don't like take pills or anything, but I started taking Flonase last year and it seems to work okay. Yeah, for me it's the pollen. Oh, it's bad. Crap. Ugh. Yeah, Georgia, I got this game when it was new. So, when the charge shot was introduced, it felt really fresh. Not to sound negative, but I do feel it kind of made some of the later Mega Mans a little mundane. And I think part of that was just the games weren't balanced properly. Like, Mega Man 4 feels designed around the charge mechanic, whereas, Mega Man 5, you can just cut through everything in one hit with the charge mechanic. Almost everything. And it makes the game just kind of like, a snore to play through. And there's stuff in Mega Man 4 you can cut through in one hit with the charge attack. Smaller enemies that usually only take like 2 or 3 hits with your regular shot. Then you've got a lot of other stuff that can't be killed instantly with it, but you can definitely, take off a good chunk of their health with the charge shot. And with a lot of enemies, aside from these tiny enemies, the charge shot will also disappear. Like, it'll get absorbed by the enemy as they die. In Mega Man 5, your shot will just cut through enemies completely in pretty much any situation. So you have a situation in Mega Man 5 where... Thought I could maybe make that, but I can use the balloon power up. In Mega Man 5, like, you just end up cutting through multiple enemies at once all the time, and it just makes the game super easy. Hey, John Gaines, how are you doing? Whoops. Yeah, it's been raining for 2 days straight here, too. Mystic Origins. Okay, so for anybody that didn't catch that, that was actually a stream we did on Twitch last Saturday. I had a friend come over, and he brought over this new NES homebrew called Mystic Origins. It was apparently released last week. And so I uploaded the archive of that stream to my YouTube channel here. And John, I would say it is most like it's most like Legend of Zelda, honestly. It feels like a mix between the original Legend of Zelda and Link's Awakening, to be honest. It feels much less like Star Tropics. Oh my god. I collected that health power-up, and it stopped me to refill my health, and that threw me off guard. Yep, try to gain a life, lose a life instead. So we actually just lost a life, because I don't think that extra life is going to be there again. Hey, Wayne! Guess what I did today, Wayne? You're gonna be proud of me. As much crap as I gave you for it. And no, it has nothing to do with Bloodborne. Yep, extra life is gone. Yeah, John, the reason I say it's more like Zelda is because, like, when you hit enemies, they get knocked back. Also, it's got a, like a arsenal system that's a little bit like Zelda 2. You know, where it displays, like, your weapons, armor, and magic. Or weapons, health, and magic, I think, on, like, you know, right next to each other, and it gives you a specific level for them. Alright, Wayne, so you already knew. Damn it. Yeah, so I bought a Nintendo Switch today. I ordered it from GameStop's website. Because that's the only place you can get them. Every local store is sold out. Every other online store is sold out. So I had to give in to the evil GameStop. But it should be here, Saturday at the earliest, Monday or Tuesday probably at the latest. FYI, Andy Author, I already know. You guys think I don't listen to that stuff? And by the way, read the comments, guys. I posted a comment right as I posted the video about the sound issue, so trust me, I know. So FYI, guys, read the comments. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and just use the E-Tank. Yeah, I mean, it depends on the GameStop, Georgia. I mean, some GameStops, the staff, they try to sell you stuff like their life depends on it, and like it's really, really aggravating. I've told staff, like, no, I don't want anything, and they just keep trying to shove it down my throat. And I got kicked out of a GameStop once because I ended up throwing the games I was going to buy back at the guy who was, quote-unquote, helping me. He's really just pushing me away as a customer. And, because he wouldn't let up on the, you know, the sales pushing. He was like, well, it's just my job. I'm just doing my... Like, no, I told you I don't want anything. I even told him I used to work at GameStop. I know how it is. Treat an old ex-fellow employee, you know, with some respect. No. So that dude totally deserved some games being thrown in his face. And I haven't actually stepped foot into another GameStop since. That's been about 5 years, and I really have no regrets. Because most of my experiences with GameStop are crappy, you know? The staff isn't usually very knowledgeable. You know, you could tell they're not people that have played a lot of games in their life many times. Or maybe they just play modern games and that's it, you know? I've got Starland down the street, and you know, those people are pretty knowledgeable. Yeah, I mean, I worked at Funkoland, and then I went to Electronics Boutique. I worked there for 2 years, and then I went back after the GameStop merger, just as for part-time work. And you know, so all in all, I worked for the company for like 4 or 5 years, and so I know exactly what goes on behind the scenes. And I also knew how to treat customers when I was working for the company. So yeah, but GameStop is pretty much the only place with Switches in stock right now. I went to their website, and it said order now, will ship by June 2nd, which made me think it was more like a pre-order. But no, I was reading the comments, and people were like, no, I just ordered it, and I got it like 2 days later. And this was like last week, you know. And so I was like, alright, I'm doing it. And sure enough, I got a shipping notification earlier today. So it's pretty much been shipped. Although one of the games I ordered was Ultra Street Fighter 2, and that apparently doesn't come out till tomorrow, so that's not going to get shipped until tomorrow. So I'm going to get that most likely like a day or two after I get the Switch itself. Now GameStop is forcing you to buy a bundle if you buy a Switch from them. It's like a $380 bundle, but it comes with the Joy-Con chargers, and it comes with Mario Kart 8, and it comes with like those little steering wheel things, kind of like the Wii version of Mario Kart had. And I was like, I'm buying Mario Kart 8 anyway, and I definitely want a charger for my Joy-Cons. So it was basically like the same amount of money I would have paid anyway for Mario Kart 8 plus the Joy-Con charger. But I also got some stupid little Mario Kart wheels that I'm probably never going to use, because I also bought a Pro controller, and so yeah. So yeah, one of the reasons I wanted to switch now is because Mario Kart is out now, and I've been watching some videos and stuff like that, and my friend Edon, the Game Pro, if he happens to pop in chat later, he got that and showed it off to me, and it looks really nice playing it on the actual Switch, so... And then Ultra Street Fighter 2 came out, that's appealing to me. And I do want to play some Blaster Master. Probably won't buy Fast Racing, because I already have it on the Wii U. I think it's pretty much the same game. I don't know, I don't know, we'll see. There's a couple of other download games I'm going to want. Like, I think Blazing Star is on the eShop right now, so... Can you get a separate charger for your Joy-Cons? So Nintendo apparently makes, you know, that little like controller dock thing that comes with the not controller dock, but like the controller attachment that comes with the system, where you can basically dock both the Joy-Cons together and basically just use them as like a dual analog stick controller. Well, apparently the one that is in the box doesn't have a charger on it. It doesn't have a charge port, like no USB Type-C connection or anything like that. Oh, for Christ's sake. Oh my god. And apparently you have to buy one separate. They sell one separate that has a charge port on that same little dock amalgamation thing, whatever you want to call it. I'm sure there's an official name for it. I don't know what it is, since I technically don't own the system yet. But the one I'm getting is just like a dock you can just plug in to like a wall outlet, and then when you're not using the Joy-Cons, you can just plug them in. and they'll charge that way. Come to think of it, I actually don't even think I need that, because, yeah, like, if I'm going to be playing it on my TV, which is what I'm going to be doing in most cases, they're just going to charge because they're going to stay attached to the system anyway. Ah, screw it, whatever. I have an extra accessory I don't really need. Whatever. But yeah, there is that, you know, controller adapter, retail controller adapter that does have a charge port on it. So say if you like your controller batteries are about to die, if you're using the Joy-Cons anyway, you can like toss a wire onto them, kind of like you can with like a PS4 or Xbox One controller, and you can charge it while you play. Yeah, I'm looking forward to playing Blaster Master Zero. A lot of people say it's really good. You know, it's kind of like lukewarm on the idea of it, but that's another thing I've watched more videos on and whatnot. And it does look pretty solid, so... And one other thing that's great about Mega Man 4 that's, it doesn't have in Mega Man 5 and 6. Don't mind me if, like, I don't make any sense when I'm talking. I'm freaking tired today. When you're charging your charge attack in Mega Man 5 and 6, if you get hit, the charge goes away. In Mega Man 4, the charge stays. So, I don't know why they introduced that mechanic in 5 and 6. I mean, they should have just, like, lowered the weakness of the charge shot in Mega Man 5 and 6, and then not made you lose the charge when you got hit. Like, that just really slows down a boss fight. When you take damage and you lose your charge, you're like, well, crap, I have to charge up all over again. You know, it's just, so aggravating. You always make sense. I think you're giving me a little too much credit, Georgia, but thank you. Yeah, Cat, absolutely. Ronnie does come up here. He needs to try to make it up here sometime soon, actually. It's been a few months since he came up here. Whenever I did my Adventure Island 2 Let's Play, that's about when he came up last time. Well, I should say series of Adventure Island Let's Plays, because I did multiples. And I need to get back to that once my new computer's back in working order. I did send my CPU off to AMD this week to get it replaced with another one. Hopefully that solves my problem, because it's pretty much the last thing to replace other than swapping to a different motherboard altogether. I've already replaced the motherboard. I've already swapped it out with the same one, or same model. But the next thing, or the last thing to do, would just be to change the motherboard brand completely, which is not what I want to do. But yeah, once that new computer is up and running, I'm gonna start focusing on some more, like, you know, longer, more difficult games again, like Adventure Island 3. I want to get back and Let's Play that. I was going to Let's Play it, and then my ABS died. So that kind of sucked. I've since, you know, received a replacement ABS from Retro USB, and all is good there. But I'm going to have to re-practice that game all over again. Ronnie, what job do you have now? What, did you get the job at the post office? Worst design? Well, I mean, I guess it depends on what you mean by design, John. If you mean just, like, looks, or are you talking maybe, like, the actual boss patterns themselves? I would say Toadman is probably one of the worst from an actual fight perspective, because he's just really dumb. You guys will see what I mean. I mean, I don't think his concept is bad. You know, a toad and then spewing, like, acid rain and stuff like that. but how you can pretty much just keep hitting him and it cancels his attack completely, makes him really not a threat at all. So hey, Larry G. Character look? I mean, Heatman's got to be pretty dumb, right? He's a Zippo. I mean, I love it, but in reality, it's kind of dumb. Yeah, many of the Mega Man 1 robots are pretty generic. I totally agree. New puppy. Nice cat. Here, let's fight Toadman. Let's make fun of him. Actually, I'm not good at making fun of video game characters. Nice one, Wayne. I will say a lot of the bosses in, I don't know. I don't see a lot of Mega Man bosses look really stupid. When you really get down to it, like Top Man. Okay. Even Shadow Man looks kind of dumb. Needle Man looks like a fatty. Snake Man is, I don't know. When you really get down to it, like, a lot of Mega Man bosses are just stupid. But we didn't really think about that when we were kids. We were just thinking about, like me, I never really looked at video games in a way where, like, I was too critical of, like, you know, character design choices and things like that. It was just all about the gameplay back then for me. And in the Mega Man series, you know, back when I was a kid especially, like, you know, they all succeeded in what they were going for, which was really fun games. And, you know, even Mega Man 5 I loved when I was a kid. I don't really love it now. I do like it. Contrary to popular belief, I do actually like Mega Man 5. I just like it much less than the other ones. And in a lot of my complaints with it aren't really like, I'm not trying to nitpick, but I'm complaining out of sadness that it wasn't better than it was. So here's the epic Toadman fight. Shake it. Shake it, baby. Every time he starts up his attack, you just hit him. I think you can actually time it too, where like you can get your charge attacks when he's like doing the hop over back and forth. What did Ronnie say? Ronnie. Oh, so Ronnie did get the post office job. Okay. Well, I hope it works out for you, man. Wiener dogs are cute, but man, they can be obnoxiously loud. Like, those are some dogs that... I don't know, maybe not every wiener dog's the same, but the wiener dogs I've experienced, man, they just don't shut up. They just really don't shut up at all. I don't think I could have a dog that talks so much. I've never actually had a dog, and I mean, even my cat Patchouli drives me up the wall sometimes with how much she talks. And so I'm someone that's had cats my whole life, but most of my cats have been pretty quiet. But Patchouli, man, oof. She just talks and talks and talks and talks and talks and talks. Not the best thing when you're trying to focus on, like, a project of some kind. Like when I'm streaming here on YouTube, I have to keep her in the bedroom because she'll just come out and keep talking and talking and talking and talking and talking and talking. So you can actually just use some power-ups to get up here. And, you know, if I really wanted to, I can just take the easy way back. Don't we have, yeah. I've never done this before. Oh, you can't control like you can in Mega Man 3. Alright, well, never mind. I was gonna say, I'll just use Rush Jet and just go down there normally. Or not normally, but I'll just take a shortcut. But nope, can't do it apparently. Hey Zerdo, how are you doing? Welcome to the stream. Miku, I have felt like I've got some kind of cold coming on over these last couple of days. I think it's just because I've been like working myself into the ground. So the next few days are going to be some days just for relaxing, basically, and taking things easy. I'm going to have some pinball people over tomorrow for some open house pinball. Oops. I always forget Skullman's pattern. I think you have to, yeah, let his shield go away, then jump over him. How many lives do I have? 2? Alright, I'm good. Whoa, whoa, seriously, man. Can you come? Do you live anywhere near the DC area? Right on, Zerdo. I need to do that too. I need to do a workout. Maybe I'll do that tomorrow before people come over. Alright, so I guess what, Ringman is last, and then we're on to the first of the two castles. So Mega Man 4 is where he started having multiple castles at the end, so it makes the game feel like it drags on a little bit more than the other ones did. Well, I don't know. Mega Man 3 kind of dragged on quite a bit with the Mega Man 2 fights. As, you know, I obviously complained about that a lot last week. Yeah, Skullman is deceptively tough. He seems actually harder than he actually is. It's just about following the pattern. And that's how a lot of bosses are in Mega Man 4 in particular, is they can wreck you if you don't know the patterns, but when you know the patterns, they're a cakewalk. And that's really the case with a lot of Mega Man games, but Mega Man 4 especially. Flawless victory. Yeah, Getaway is a great game, man. I love it. One of my friends locally has one. Actually, I know two people that has that game. Now that I think about it, Williams did not. It was Data East that made a Tommy game. I think it was like 93 or 94 or something like that. Pretty popular Data East game, actually. It's one of the more popular Data East games. I wouldn't mind having that one for a little while. That'd be fun. It's got these blinders that come up that block your view of the flippers. It's like the moon level from DuckTales. Eh, a little bit. So these things don't start disappearing until you actually like touch them. So the idea is to try to jump onto them as far as you can, and it makes life a lot easier. Those dudes are always really annoying. It's hard to get past them without taking damage. No, you can totally reach the ladder. You can pretty much reach anything in this game. You've got the balloon power-up, which is like the number... was it the number 1 power-up in Mega Man 2? And then you've got the wire. You also have Rush Coil and Rush Jet. So you have a lot of ways to get up high in this game. Yeah, John, the levels in Mega Man 1 are relatively short compared to some of the other later Mega Man games. Alright. Now there's apparently... Yep, an extra life right there. I didn't know that till recently. Someone made a comment on one of my Let's Plays, I think, about that. So that was pretty cool. Hey, Amadeus, how are you doing? Realistically, what I could do is do this. And I never thought to do that as a kid. I always did it the hard way. Same here. Whoa! Peace out, buddy! I've never done that before either. I love the flexibility that the extra toys give you in this game. Fallout 4 for 20 bucks. Apparently you can't pause it while you're in while you're sliding. I was gonna be slick and pause it, switch to a different item, but that didn't work out. That's okay. Whoops! Aww. Okay, so Ring doesn't actually grab things. I thought one of the things did. I'm probably thinking of a different Mega Man. I'm probably thinking of Mega Man X. Apparently, Ronnie, I don't know what it's like for other industries, but this time of the year, for certain industries, is when everyone does, you know, they get their budgets, like, finally situated, and then, it's when they really start, getting more aggressive with hiring people. You'll find that a lot of companies, towards the end of the year and the beginning of the year, will put, like, hiring freezes into effect. You know, obviously retail's different, but, you know, when we're talking places where you're gonna work permanently, other industries like IT, you know, for instance, they apparently like to hire in kind of like the second quarter, usually. So that might be what you're experiencing right now, Ronnie. Oops. Crap. Yeah, Ronnie, I mean, I don't know, man. Like, there were aspects I liked of retail. And, like, if I was paid a lot more, I probably would have been happy to stick in retail. I mean, it depends on the type of store you're working at. Like, when I was working at Lowe's, I actually felt like I was helping people for a change. Whereas at, like, GameStop, I don't know, I just felt like another cog in the wheel. Not really making a huge difference. And then plus, like, at, you know, GameStop, you had all those stupid sales goals and stuff like that. And, you're always worried you might get fired because you weren't, you know, making the numbers that the company wanted you to make. I can imagine at the ABC, it's probably not too bad. I mean, it's a government, you know, government gig, basically. Holy crap, that was fast. So I highly doubt they're like, oh, you must sell 300 bottles of Jim Beam this week. I don't know, maybe they are. But every time I'm in the ABC, I never get the vibe that they're trying to just push random stuff on you. So... Well, how these corporations work, Darren, I mean, particularly publicly traded corporations that have investors that they have to answer to, it's standard practice for them to set extraordinary goals that will never be met, ever. And it's really aggravating as an employee having to deal with that. Because no matter how good you do, you can always do better in the eyes of your district managers and regional managers and crap like that. You can always do better. It's never safe to celebrate in certain types of retail. When I was at Lowe's, I didn't really have to deal with that, honestly. I mean, yeah, we wanted to push certain products, and we wanted to push warranties on lawn mowers and things like that. But I was never, ever scolded for not selling enough or something like that. It was more about, like, keeping the store clean and organized and, you know, providing prompt assistance to customers that needed help, things like that. Scarred Soldier. Yeah, I'll eventually try to do the expansions. I would need to practice them. I would definitely need to practice them. But yeah, hopefully I'll do some videos on those on YouTube. That'd be awesome. Yeah, Georgia, GameStop kind of sucked a little bit. I mean, it had its positives. I liked a lot of the people I worked with at GameStop when things weren't like chaotically busy at GameStop. It was nice being able to talk to people about video games and stuff like that. So yeah. But Lowe's was, to me, Lowe's was pretty relaxed. The worst I had at Lowe's, though, was a couple of coworkers were real douchebags, and because of them, I actually walked off the job one day. When I started Lowe's, oh crap. When I started Lowe's, I started in the back unloading trucks as a part-time job, and the two guys I had to work with were like these younger, like early 20-somethings at the time. I was like in my late 20s at that time, and they were like call out sick all the time. They would goof off on the job, and this is a fairly like labor-intensive job. You're unloading like the trucks that come in, and a lot of these trucks will have like 1,000 pieces of product on them. And you've got to get the job done in, you know, like 2 or 3 hours or something like that. Like, so it's a constant, you know, it's a constant workout. And these guys were major dicks. And one night I walked off the job, but one of my managers caught me on the way out. He was like, "Yo, what are you doing?" And I talked to him, and, you know, and they openly admitted to me. They're like, yeah, those guys in the back, they're real idiots and whatever. So, like, don't let them get to you. Just go home for tonight and come back, and we'll talk to them. And so that's what happened. I ended up keeping the job, and I eventually moved off of the truck unloading thing and onto the main sales floor itself, and got a, you know, worked my way up to a full-time position. They actually liked me at Lowe's. Which was actually the first retail job where I felt like I was really worth a damn, you know, where I got the vibes that the management actually like appreciated my, you know, appreciated my efforts at the job. So had I not gotten the call for my IT job, I probably would have stayed there for a long time. And the thing about a place like Lowe's is that it's not really that stressful, honestly, and they pay better than other places. Like back when I was there, and this was 2008. 2008, mid 2008 into mid 2009, basically. You know, they were paying like $10 an hour for just an entry job at Lowe's, and every other place that was similar was like minimum wage, and you know, minimum wage was what, $7.25 or something back then. And oh, by the way, the guys that were dicks, they both got themselves fired eventually. I was on the main sales floor working full-time, and they got fired for being idiots. So I mean, at that point I was trying to survive. I needed a job, and so I cared about, you know, my performance and stuff like that, in terms of, you know, not being an idiot on the job. I just wanted to go in, do my job, and go home. And still have a place to live, basically. That was the time of my life, actually. We're getting deep now, guys. This is a time of my life where I had to pretty much sell off all my game consoles. I didn't have a single game console at that point. I was doing a lot of PC gaming again. Had really started getting into Steam. They were doing lots of sales on cheap games for like $1 a piece. So I was able to amass a decent Steam library, and that kept me occupied gaming-wise. And then I did a little emulation, and then And then once I got my IT job in May or June 2009, that's when I started buying consoles again. And then a couple months later, I started my YouTube channel. So... how did they get fired? I don't remember how one of the guys got fired, but one of the other guys was stupid and he was like climbing on top of the like a forklift. And what these guys didn't realize is that there were cameras all over the store, and even though like if you looked like you were alone, you weren't alone. The loss prevention guy was probably in the back watching you. So like, you know, when you work in a big box retail store, eyes are always on you. So just do your thing. Don't be a dumbass. But no, one guy was like using the forklift like it was a jungle gym. And Lowe's takes like safety very, very seriously. I mean, forklifts in a small little retail establishment like that, well, it's not really small, but it's a small area for like forklifts. You know, normally forklifts are something that's supposed to be used like out in, you know, warehouse yards and things like that. And running around with a forklift inside a, you know, a store with narrow hallways can be really dangerous. You know, you can slice someone's head off if you're not careful. So, and so these guys screwing around like on top of the forklift got them walked off the job like immediately. So it was bittersweet for me. I don't normally whoa, okay, sure, okay. I don't normally hope for people to you know, have unfortunate fates, but these guys, man, I really wanted them out of there. And you know, I've always played it professional though, and they got themselves axed. So it was one of the only instances where I've actually had employees or coworkers that I've really not liked at all. Like, there's a lot of like coworkers I've had that are really annoying, and that sucks. But you can kind of deal with it, you know. But when the guys are like intentionally trying to be assholes, pardon my French, and you're just trying to do a good job and go home and not get into workplace drama and stuff like that, it gets really, really frustrating and difficult to deal with, honestly. It's not the sort of thing you should have to deal with at, you know, your place of work. It's bad enough that you gotta work a job you don't like, and then to deal with people at said job that you really don't like, it's like double whammy, you know? I think it's one reason why a lot of people don't like retail, because a lot of times customers can be dicks. Customers can be awful. And a lot of retail is not that much fun. And so not only are you working a job you don't really like that much, but you've got to deal with people that you don't really like all that much. And they probably don't like you either, based on how they treat you sometimes. There's always good customers. The good customers are fantastic. You know, you feel like you connect with them, and you feel like you really help them out. But it's just a short reprieve, basically. Because there's always another jackass customer just right around the corner. And I'm sure that'll hit home for a lot of people watching, because I'm sure a lot of you guys, you know, have worked retail and things like that. We're going to go ahead and use an E-Tank, because we have 8. And it's one of the reasons I like my job right now, is I don't have to deal with customers at all. It's all internal operations stuff. We're all good to each other. There's very little strife ever. So I'm just kind of riding out my current job, and, you know... But of the retail I did work, Lowe's was the most relaxed from like a general day-to-day operations perspective. You know, you would help the occasional customer and they just kind of wander around, keep things organized, stuff like that. And at the end of the night, we would, you know, after the store closed, we'd spend like a half an hour to 45 minutes cleaning, things like that. So So I worked in, once I went full-time, I worked in the lawn and garden department, the indoor lawn and garden department. So I ended up having to learn about a bunch of stuff I never really knew about before. Let's see. Damn, these Mega Man games are tough. Yeah, Scarge, they're not too bad. Oh, I didn't see that cat was going. I was too busy rambling. Well, sorry, cat. You're probably gone, but if you're not gone, have a good night. I hope you feel better. It would seem to me that people at movie theaters probably wouldn't be that bad, because it's a pretty simple thing. You know, you go in, you buy a ticket, you buy some popcorn, that's it. You know, it doesn't seem like there's a whole lot that could go wrong. That's not to say things can't go wrong. I've seen people get angry at movie theaters. But when you're working a job where you're constantly having to provide advice to people, things like that, that's when things can get a little wonky. Especially when the people are dumb. Like, I was listening to the Completely Unnecessary podcast a couple backs where Pat got Ian back, and Ian was talking about, you know, just like nightmare customers. And I was like, yep, I've had that happen to me multiple times. Like, there was one example where he sold somebody a working system. They get it home, they couldn't get it working. The people were just probably dumb. They probably had never hooked up a video game console before. And they came back and they were blaming Ian. But they were like the nicest people too, apparently, like when he was helping them out. And it's situations like that are pretty much unavoidable. You can't help stupid. Which is why I'm oftentimes really blunt on my YouTube channel, and it probably hurts me negatively, honestly. But I honestly don't even really care that much. I've worked so much retail that I'm not here to help stupid. If you can't try to figure certain things out on your own, then you're on your own, basically. And I've had a lot of transactions like that, you know. People come in, they act all nice and lovey-dovey, and then either by the end of the transaction they turn into like the biggest a-holes you've ever experienced, or they end up coming back later because they can't get something working or something's defective, even though it's not really defective. You go and you test it when they bring it back in and it's fine. Maybe they had buyer's remorse or something like that. And they just are screaming your ears off, and you're just like, I thought you were a nice person. You scare me. I'm trying to figure out what I should do. Yeah, Georgia, you've always got people that are, they try to, hey man, can you give me a discount on that? I'm like, no. What place normally gives you discounts just because they can? Particularly like on a cheap product. When you're buying something really expensive, usually there's more leeway for like a discount of some type. Like we were buying a set of weights. We were buying a weight bar and 300 pounds in weights a few weeks back. One of my birthday presents, well, my birthday present was a weight bench. Basically, my mom asked me, like, what do I want for my birthday? And it was like, I really need to start pumping iron again. And so we went out, bought the bench online, but we bought the weights and weight bar locally, and it was like 200 something dollars, I think, for the 300-pound set. And my mom was freaking out. She didn't know it was gonna be that much. We had already paid like almost 200 for the bench itself. But the lady at the counter was obviously hearing our conversation, because my mom is loud, to say the least. And the lady was like, you know, we can give you 15% off. You know, and if this was like a small $15 item, there's no way in hell they would have given us a discount, you know. But when you get into items that are much more expensive, there's usually more leeway on like potential discounts and things like that. So she ended up giving us like a 15% discount. Even we didn't deserve it, and we didn't even ask for it either. But maybe it was just a ploy to try to get us to definitely walk out with those weights, or maybe she was just being nice. But I remember we did that sometimes too when I worked at EB. It would depend on the items, depend on like how much it cost, things like that. How expensive it was. Usually the more expensive items, you'd be able to give people a discount. You'd be able to have more wiggle room with that sort of thing. Especially if they were buying like a used console or something and they weren't sure on it. And yeah, John, links are disabled, so yeah, no links in chat, sorry. It's a pretty standard practice for live streams. On YouTube, I'm probably just going to leave links permanently disabled. On Twitch, though, if any of you guys follow me on Twitch, if I see you in the chat enough, you know, I'll basically add you to a whitelist, or permitted list, whatever you want to call it. And you'll be able to post links over there. God help you, it was a Michael Bay film. Oh, man. We're an hour and a half in, we still haven't beaten this game. Ugh. I feel like we're gonna be here till like 1 in the morning playing these games. And that's okay, but we've been making like pretty good time too, so you can kind of tell how like these games are getting longer as the series goes on. Mega Man 3 was definitely longer than 1 or 2. And this might actually be a little bit longer than Mega Man 3. Yeah, Wayne, that's a good example too, man. Like, if someone's really short on cash, especially if they're not, like, douches, you might want to, like, give them, like, a 5% discount or something like that. Something small, but, you know, if it's enough to help them out and have them walk out with the item, then... Hey, Michael! How are you doing, man? Welcome back, buddy. Yeah, so that's my brother, Brandon. And, naturally, we grew up together. And, so he watched me play this game a lot as kids. I'm sure he can recognize it from a mile away. Mega Man 4 is your favorite one. I didn't know that. I did not know that. Dude, stop going underground, Drill Man. But I like the dirt. It's nice and safe. Dude, he just keeps going. Maybe it's because I'm using... Oops. I'm using E-Tank by accident. Maybe it's just because like I'm using Dive Man over and over. You guys and your animated cutscenes. We should watch Mega Man X4 then. That's got some good cutscenes. I like X4 because it's like dark. The other Mega Mans are just kind of like a little too cheery for my tastes. So when it comes to like classic style Mega Man, I definitely prefer the old NES ones because they don't really have much in the way of story. It's pretty much just all about the gameplay. I'm not sitting through like cutscenes, and I don't have to hear Mega Man sound like a little girl. So this is actually the second to last boss fight, by the way. We're about to beat this game. Because we are awesome. And you guys are awesome for watching. Well, Brandon, if you manage to stay up, man, we're going to go through Mega Man 5 next, and then we're going to go through Mega Man 6 after that. So if you can stay awake, you'll get to see your second favorite, Mega Man 6. Okay, so you can't actually attack that without charging. A Katsuki! Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed the channel. You've got a lot of content to catch up on then. Hopefully, you'll enjoy it. And hopefully you enjoy the stream. Oh, but Mega Man is so cute. We didn't look at Mega Man as like cute growing up. This was just normal because this is about as good as the NES could do, like graphically. We weren't like, "Aw, look at that little blue guy. He's so cute. He's so adorable." But then when Mega Man 8 came out in particular, and Mega Man had a voice, we were like, uh-oh. Okay. Okay. You got us, Capcom. You got us. Alright, so Pharaoh Man. I always forget what actually works against Wily here, except for Pharaoh Man. I think it might just be Pharaoh Man in this one. And you can try to charge up, but you're really best off just using your standard attack. Ooh, okay. Because when you charge up with Pharaoh Man's attack, it uses a lot of ammo. And very much like in Mega Man 2, if you use the one attack that works against Wily, and you run out of ammo, you're going to have to get a game over in order to refresh. Actually, not entirely true. At least they had the smarts to include some enemies on the stretch up to Wily, so you could actually grind out enemies if you wanted to get your energy back. Whereas in Mega Man 2, you literally had to kill yourself and game over. There we go, we just beat Mega Man 4. Choleric rocks. They did rock. I loved them all. I have my favorites now, and I have my least favorites now as well. But growing up, I loved them all pretty much equally. Oh man, X5. Oh geez, Brandon. Yeah. Oh yeah, Larry. I hear that working for hotels can be a nightmare. They look like pink snowballs with cream filling. Glenn Gonzalez, welcome to the stream. Conquered these games back in February. Oh, what fun. Albert Einstein is secretly Dr. Wily. Did I play this game last week? I did not, Zerto. I only played parts 1, 2, and 3 last week. Alright guys, I'm gonna let the credits roll out. I'm gonna take like a 2-minute break and use the bathroom and whatnot, and we'll be back with some Mega Man 5. Alright, we are back with Mega Man 5. We'll start with Starman. I think he's pretty easy. Is liking Nickelback bad? No comment. Well, that's right. You know, like what I was talking about, is that if you charge up in this game and you get hit, you lose your charge and you gotta charge all over again. So it's gonna take me a few minutes to get used to that mechanic. And collecting all the Mega Man letters allows you to use Beat, which I never really found much of a use for the little guy, unfortunately. I mean, I know he can do some serious damage on bosses and whatnot, but it's just not really worth going out of your way to collect all the letters. Aladair, I've already played a bunch of the X games. Will I play them again? Most likely. Oops! Ah, I thought I was gonna be a little bit farther over to the right. What happened? Something in about 45 minutes. Am I gonna play all the classic series up to Mega Man 10? Just to 6. I'm pretty awful at 7 and 8, and I'm terrible at Rockman and Forte. And I'm also terrible at 9 and 10 as well, so... Yeah, I mean, just for the stream, I'm just doing 1 through 6. We did 1 through 3 last week. We're doing 4 through 6 this week. And then after that, I mean, it's just up in the air. Next week's stream will probably be a different theme altogether. I have to just think about it, so... No, Mega Man 4 took me an hour and a half to beat, Brandon. Yeah, I mean, we started the stream at 9. I started playing almost, like, right away, so... Mega Man 4 actually took longer than I expected, and, I mean, we had a few deaths, but for the most part, it was a pretty decent run. Yeah, guys, you can't... Well, I don't know, maybe you could. I was gonna say you can't pay me to play Mega Man X7, but I was like, you know what, if people pay me, maybe I will play that. But no, I will. I have no desire to play Mega Man X7. I was one of the idiots that bought that game the day it came out, and that was one of the worst video game purchases I have ever made. It was really, really awful. I don't know what Capcom was thinking with that game. They were just... smoking crack, man. X7 was just... ugh. Yeah, I tried getting into X3 as well, but I just... I don't like X3 that much, actually. It just feels so bland compared to X1. Like, X1 is just so damn good that it's one of those situations where I think, like, it's almost impossible to outdo it. X4 to me, though, was really close, and I think a lot of that was because it was on the next-gen hardware. They were able to, you know, incorporate lots of really cool graphical effects and things like that that you wouldn't have been able to do on the Super Nintendo. So that helps X4, I think, really stand out. Come on, dude, attack. Thank you. But yeah, I'm gonna eventually revisit X3 and really try to finish it. I've never actually finished it before. Dude, come on. This is so stupid, man. Stuff like this really aggravates me. A lot of people are like, Mega Man X4 is like the worst on the NES. I'm like, I don't know what you guys are smoking. Like, look at this right here. Like, I'm just... The dodging isn't even fun. It's just... It's annoying. Normally he doesn't just keep his shield on, like, for that long. There you go. Good Starman. See, look at this. Like, really, dude? Come on. Aggravating. Aggravating. It's just very poor, like, boss design. He's waiting the making the player wait. That's a lot of fun, right? That's what everybody asked for in their boss designs, I'm sure. Please make us wait more. It'll come off as challenging. Dude, he never waits this long. Ever. It almost looks like I had to bait him up, like, by jumping high. That's dumb. You're back! What did you miss? You missed the ending to Mega Man 4. And, Patience, Grasshopper. Mega Man has never been a game about patience. It's been about aggression. Like, the brisk nature of the boss fights in Mega Man, Mega Man's 1, 2, and 3 is what made those games feel so good, you know? You still had to be good, you didn't usually have to wait all that much in those games. Alright, Wave Man. You missed Starman tunneling. You know, one of the other things about Mega Man 5 is that it's got like this very like pastelish kind of look. Lots of like unappealing pinks and things like that. Makes the colors look like really washed out compared to the other games. You go and play Mega Man 2, it's just so colorful. You know, and every stage is pretty appealing to the eyes. But in Mega Man 5, you know, a lot of the colors, like I said, just feel very washed out. They look very washed out. Alright, I gotta get off this complaining train, because I've already done this in a Let's Play. I don't need to complain for another hour and a half. John, you need to follow me on Twitch if you want to see me play Gradius. because Gradius is a Konami game, and lots of those early Konami games get copyright claimed. So, for instance, my Contra Let's Play that's coming up in a week and a half, I uploaded it as unlisted to my YouTube channel, and I got 2 copyright claims on it from Konami, so... And that's why you don't see me do stuff like Gradius all that often here. And you don't see me do Konami stuff on the live stream, unless I currently don't have anything claimed by them. So basically my Contra video has been copyright claimed by Konami, so now I have to go through the dispute process, and now I can't do another Konami video until I clear that copyright claim, which is going to be at least 30 days. So, and that's why you don't see me doing stuff like Gradius very often on this channel. I would love to do it all the time. I love the Gradius series, but with Konami, with how Konami is about their old IPs on YouTube, I just can't do that stuff very often here, unfortunately. Like these Mega Man games, no problem. I can play any Mega Man game. Capcom won't copyright claim them. Oh, I missed it. That's okay, I don't really care that much. But yeah, if you want to see me play more Konami stuff, you follow me on Twitch. And come hang out there. I was actually playing Gradius 2 on the Famicom 2 days ago on stream. And actually, basically played that game for the first time and beat it for the first time in the same stream. And then we played... actually, no, we didn't play Life Force, but I'm going to play some Life Force sometime soon. This dude actually looks pretty goofy. Earlier we were like, where are the goofiest looking Mega Man bosses? I think this guy would probably qualify. Still don't have an E-Tank. Great. Viper Acid, yeah, Konami's about as bad as Nintendo. The difference is you